Hey everyone, it is your introduction to week 4. Mr. Volpe here, reporting to you live from the kitchen. Sunday morning here. You guys will probably see this Monday or Tuesday as per usual, I imagine. So let's just go over what you have coming your way this week. Your narrative essays will be returned to you. Those of you who don't have them back will receive them back graded with comments by the end of the week. Your descriptive essay, your second essay, is due by Sunday. So you'll all have time to review my comments and know what readjustments you might need to make and have that well in time for your final descriptive due just before midnight on Sunday. Just some notes on that narrative essay, the ones I've read. I haven't read all of them, maybe even really a minority of them at this point. But just some words of advice, guys. Make sure that your essays are conforming to the paper attachment format, the paper format attachment, I should say, in Blackboard. That is in, I believe it's lessons, and then there's just an attachment that reads paper format. So click that. Your essay needs to look like that. That same typeface, 12 point Times New Roman double space, MLA heading upper right hand corner, last name with the page number upper right hand corner, the headings upper left hand corner, whichever I said there. An original title for your essay, and then you skip a line, you start writing. That's what it needs to look like. No wiggle room there. If you turn in an essay that doesn't look like that doesn't have the optics of a professionally done essay, you're kind of undermining your credibility there, your professionalism as a student. I tend not to take those that are just kind of haphazardly slapped onto a page in whatever font, whatever typeface, no heading. I don't take those seriously, to be honest with you. Oftentimes, I'm not even going to give them a serious read, to be perfectly frank with you. So get yourself off on the right foot, at least, and do what you need to do in terms of formatting your essay correctly. In terms of the content of the essays, some of them, most of them are just fine, even good. Some even maybe great. An A, remind yourselves, is great, excellent. B is good to great. C, average. You've given me the bare minimum. D, something's not right there. It's insufficient in one or many ways. And F is just no. Unacceptable. Okay. Keep in mind that I'm pretty open-minded. I describe myself as sort of, I guess, libertarian when it comes to what I allow you guys to write. I'm pretty open. There are constraints, though. Of course, there are places you shouldn't go. Certain elephant graveyards for you Lion King fans out there that you don't want to visit. If you're ever talking about serious harm to yourself, to others, if you are kind of cavalier about talking about illicit drug use, things like that, I'm not going to throw you in the gulag, as it were, but I will notify the correct people who need notifying if you are a bit too egregious crossing the line there. You know what I'm talking about. You guys are 17, 18, maybe not quite adults yet, close enough though. Treat this with maturity and give it the respect it deserves. You need to be academic professionals preparing yourselves for a professional world. Now, I don't want to be a stuffy fuddy-duddy either, and I'm not. Trust me there. So you are given some freedom. Just realize that you have to do these things with skill and grace. If you use profanity in a paper like the narrative, I doubt you're going to really have the opportunity or need to use profanity. I give you some leeway in a narrative because it's a story. You have some license there, you could argue. But even if you've used profanity in the narrative, I could overlook it and maybe even take it as necessary. But if you're dropping F-bombs just out of left field, and that could be a little jarring and inappropriate. And as a reader, it strikes me as a little off and awkward. Okay, you don't want to register that way over here. Keep in mind, I'm a living, breathing person reading your essays who has thoughts and feelings too. So you want to represent yourself with respectability, dignity, professionalism. Keep that in mind. All right. First essay, we're kind of feeling around in the dark here. It's the least weighted essay, I believe, 15%, if I'm not mistaken. So, this isn't to scare anybody, but just mind your P's and Q's, cross your T's, dot your I's, okay? And if you ever have any questions, you're more than welcome to shoot me an email, let me know, and I'm happy to go over anything with you and get you where you need to be. So this week, you are drafting your descriptive essays. Now, what does that entail? So you're not necessarily writing a story this time. It's not an account. It's not a particularly revelatory or meaningful life moment, although it can be. This time, though, it's a matter of focusing your emphasis on something else, descriptive language. The narrative, the focus was on relaying a time, a moment. Of course, you use descriptive language in doing that to make your scenes, your actions come to life, no doubt. So you're certainly doing that again. Again, you are appealing to the senses, sights, tastes, touch, all that. Maybe I'm missing one. Smells. But this time you're focusing on describing. It doesn't need to have a plot per se, like a story or a narrative. It is a thing. Perhaps I will describe my super awesome Raven coffee mug here, if you don't mind. It's good stuff. So how might I describe this? I'm not writing a story about this. Okay, I can describe it as my favorite mug. It's really, there's a clean, sleek design about it. Nothing special about it. It's got the raven right there. It's got nevermore, which is repeated in Edgar Allan Poe's famous poem, The Raven. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Okay, so I could describe to you why this mug is important to me. Maybe I could tell you a story about it. It was given to me by a friend. Maybe I could go into detail about that. But I could just limit my description to this object, okay? Again, it's not very intricate. There's a raven on the front. There's one on the back, so it's reversible. It's a white mug. Again, it's pretty understated. But, should I want to, I could write a 1.5 to a 2-page essay on this mug. Maybe you want to do your car. Maybe your car is really important to you. Or a video game. Now, I'll tell you, if you're doing a video game, I know I have a lot of gamers, students are gamers. That's all good. I stopped with Nintendo 64, to be honest with you. I don't play video games, but you have to understand that I'm not in your world. I don't know the world of the video game. So if you're describing a video game, you have to be very user-friendly. Always keep your audience in mind, no matter what you're writing about. I'm not privy to all of the different worlds and characters and battles and RPG versus first-person shooter and all this stuff. So make sure you're providing maybe little parenthetical definitions where you need to in the essay. Remember, any average Joe or Jane walking on the street, you should be able to hand them your essay and they should be able to read it and have at least some general understanding of what is being described, what's going on, okay? So be user-friendly. Keep your audience in mind. That's a rule for always, any paper we write in this class, okay? So a person, place, thing, an idea, a concept, free speech, there's a concept for you. Maybe you want to describe that. Why is it important? Where did it come from? What's the tradition of free speech? What are examples of free speech? What is or isn't protected under the First Amendment? All these things. So there are a variety of different ways you could go. You could describe a person, your grandmother. I could describe they're dearly departed. God bless them, my grandparents. I lost my grandmother 2 years ago. No more grandparents, but I could describe any one of the four of them and offer you a rich, illustrative essay that describes aspects of their personality, how they look physically even, a certain thing that they did that I appreciated, all sorts of things. A meal they might have made. I could describe my grandmother's chicken and dumplings, one of her hits, or her gumbo, or shrimp stew. Man, I'm hungry. Haven't eaten breakfast yet. Maybe you guys have, hopefully. So, you got options, guys. Bottom line, you've got options. If you want to kind of help yourselves narrow it down, spitball ideas, come to me, go to Miss Evans. Certainly, we will help you guys, equip you with everything you need to write a good essay. And again, look for your narratives to come back. Also look for the two descriptive passages you read last week that were due. Goodbye to My Twinkie Days and Once More to the Lake. So those will be getting back as well by the end of the week. So you'll have grades coming in throughout the course of this week. Anything else? Oh, blog. The blog this week, guys, go ahead and blog 3. I want you all to talk about how you describe, being that we're talking about description and your essays due at the end of the week, how do you describe your world? Do you use objective descriptions, subjective descriptions? Of course, you use both, a blend probably. But what are some things that you could think of that you and I would describe the exact same or close to the exact same? Like this coffee mug. We'd probably, you and I, anyone off the street would probably say, yeah, it's a coffee mug. Looks pretty basic. It's got a raven on it or some blackbird, a crow. Maybe I don't know what Nevermore is an allusion to, what it references, but we all know this is a mug. Now, we would differ. Now I'm getting into subjective description. That was an objective description. This is a mug. No argument there. What about if I said, though, this is an ugly mug or unimpressive mug? You might differ. You might have something else to say there. You might say, hey, it's a really cool mug. I like it. It's whatever. Subjective. Subjective things are things that can be argued. Maybe you like a movie that I didn't like. We would describe that movie differently, okay? But some things we wouldn't describe differently. We wouldn't say that this surface is not made of wood. I mean, you can't maybe see all of it, but it's wood. It's part of the kitchen table. You and I would say the same thing. You wouldn't say that this is a pelican, for example, okay? So objective and subjective descriptions. Go and check out the blog for this week. And just like I've been doing, I will poke in the blog from time to time and comment on individual submissions, just like we've been doing. So guys, keep up the great work. We've got our second essay coming in by the end of the week. And hey, we're almost a quarter of the way done. Can you believe it? Nuts. Anyway, guys, have a great week up there in Georgia. And over and out. Bye-bye.